Welcome to Full Frontal. I'm Thursday night Samantha B. And also, welcome to 2022. Yay! What a relief to finally have the shit show that was last year behind us so we can dive right into the shit show that this year already is. I'm half expecting Betty White to come back to life just so 2022 can take her from us again. While it's still only January, one thing we know will keep going this year is Republicans' sweaty obsession with the 2020 election. Just last week, ghost of Cirrhosis future Steve Bannon falsely claimed Trump's rally in Arizona would prompt the state to decertify Biden's victory. But somehow, that was still more normal than what Trump actually said.
The left is now rationing life-saving therapeutics based on race. In fact, in New York State, if you're white, you have to go to the back of the line. If you're white, you don't get the vaccine.
But if you're Shaun White, you do get the vaccine because you're sick. To be fair, there are a few good reasons to rehash what happened in and after the 2020 election. First of all, there's that whole insurrection that still needs to be addressed. And as Congress's January 6th committee continues its quest to make every Trump ally dodge subpoenas like they're in the Matrix, we're learning just how batshit some of the GOP's schemes to end democracy actually were.
At issue is a scheme involving 7 states where Joe Biden beat Donald Trump in the 2020 vote. What happened? After the election, as they should, those states sent certificates to Washington signed by the official electors. But small groups of self-proclaimed Republican electors in all those states went rogue, sending their own documents to D.C. saying Trump won.
In addition to Michigan and Arizona, Republicans did this in Georgia, New Mexico, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
We also have tracked down some footage of the proverbial crime being committed. This, for example, is footage of the meeting where Georgia Republicans filled out their forged elector document.
And they would have gotten away with it, too, if they didn't use so much clip art. Of course, if you, like many of us, had your eyes clockwork oranged open during the aftermath of the election, you might know that Republicans have been talking about alternate electors since the very beginning. In fact, as early as March of 2021, watchdog group American Oversight had already gotten a hold of the phony elector certificates. We just didn't notice because in March of 2021, we were all too busy celebrating the end of the pandemic with 100-person gum swapping parties. I didn't get COVID, but somebody did give me a stick of juicy fruit, and that is almost as bad. Thankfully, as the January 6th committee ramps up its investigation, it's bringing this story and others to light. Unfortunately, for false electors like Arizona State Representative Jake Hoffman, that light also ain't too bright.
A reporter from the Arizona Republic caught up with one of the people who signed on to this document in Arizona.
Did you have direction from anybody in doing this? How did you hear about the plan? Were you just told to be somewhere?
You would need to ask the party chair that question.
Yeah, but you're the person who received the call. You showed up, right? How did you know to show up that day?
So as I said, you can go ahead and ask the party chair the logistics of it.
Ask her how you got a phone call to go somewhere?
You're welcome to talk to them about the logistics.
Do you not know how you arrived at a place?
Listen, man, I get it. Sometimes you just put the car in cruise control, close your eyes, and let go and let God. But as silly as dumb dog dorks like Jake Hoffman are, they appear to be part of an organized effort by Republicans to overturn the election in any way possible. Trump sycophants like Yellow Jackets addict body Stephen Miller and Chief of Staff Mark Meadows encouraged lawmakers to send alternate slates of electors to Congress, while right-wing lawyer John Eastman authored a 6-step plan to overturn the election. Believe it or not, step 1, dance like nobody's watching, but then it went downhill when step 2 was race war. Meanwhile, one false elector in Michigan may have actually worked directly with a Trump lawyer, claiming that he received a phone call from an attorney on Trump's behalf advising him on what to do, which was actually kind of exciting for Trump's lawyer since he rarely gets to talk to someone without using the phrase, "Do you have proof she said she was 18?" One attorney even admitted there had been discussions about how to get fake Trump electors in the right place at the right time, although I'm not sure why it was so hard to figure out the answer. A trash compactor, whenevs. Fake Michigan electors even discussed trying to get inside the Capitol on the day the real electors were meeting there to vote. Like a parent who's just now watching Euphoria, you're probably thinking to yourself, isn't this all illegal? To which the answer is, Probably, or at least it should be. It could violate state and federal laws like mail fraud and forgery of public records, although at least the fake electors from 2 states did have the foresight to try to cover their own asses.
In New Mexico and Pennsylvania, the Republicans instead inserted some language saying that ultimately someday they might be the real electors. That may have saved the Republicans who signed that document from potential criminal prosecution for forgery or another state crime.
Come on, if you're trying to up America, at least go all in. If Channing Tatum hesitated when he tried to bring the White House down in White House Down, do you think he would have ever succeeded in bringing the White House down? But unlike the false electors in Pennsylvania and New Mexico, Trump supporters in the 5 other states still probably did a fraud. On the plus side, the Michigan Attorney General has asked federal prosecutors to investigate the fake GOP electors in her state, and at the same time, the January 6th committee is continuing to find more evidence of the efforts to subvert the election. The January 5th committee, on the other hand, is facing a public relations nightmare for forgetting Bradley Cooper's birthday this year. Come on, guys. That's the only notable thing about January 5th. Do your job or we'll find someone who can. To be clear, these false electors were never going to fool officials any more than Wile E. Coyote was going to fool the Roadrunner. This was basically just a really stupid publicity stunt by some treason-curious idiots who couldn't accept being the f***ing losers they are. But that still doesn't change the fact that Trump and his supporters tried to steal the election while accusing Democrats of themselves doing the same. It's clear that Trump pressured people at the state level to help him. It doesn't matter if the fraud was committed by groups of people who look like the magicians from Arrested Development. The only question we should really be asking is, will anyone be held accountable? I mean, yeah, they should be because they tried to overthrow the f***ing government. But this is America, where the only people who get held accountable are the ones appearing on Red Table Talk. Yes, it's true that I went on for the reason you think. I also slept with men who are not Will Smith. At the end of the day, all we can hope for is that the January 6th committee's findings actually lead to actual consequences. But barring that, we can hope they at least do a better job than those brain-dead idiots on the January 5th committee. Happy belated, Brad. Please let me meet you. We'll be right back. Please. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to hear more from Full Frontal, like and subscribe. If you'd like to hear some opinions from a man in a lifted truck, leave YouTube on autoplay.